Okay, before start our topic, I think you have to, and my idea is give you time to read this. Then while you are reading these slides, you have a bit of idea what is a traditional view of organization conflict. Earlier we discussed another three topics. First one, I told you the one by one I am continue uh, these topics. Then first you listen, but already you know that because you are now the familiar uh, that organization behavior subject. Within few seconds you can understand what is this concept. Okay, I give you time to listen this first.
The traditional view on organizational conflict is the earliest of the trio. It was first developed in the late 1930s and early 1940s, with the most linear and simple approach towards conflict. According to the traditional view, any conflict in an organization is outright bad, negative, and harmful. Although conflicts are of different types, the traditional view only sees conflict as dysfunctional and destructive. It suggests that organizational conflict must be avoided by identifying the malfunctioning callus. Moreover, the traditional view on organizational conflict identifies poor communication, disagreement, lack of openness and trust among individuals, and the failure of managers to be responsive to their employees' needs as the main causes and reasons of organizational conflict.
Before I move to the next one, I I try to give you a brief introduction. What is the traditional view of organizational conflict? All of you know, I told you earlier, that's the age mean the year period, early 40s, after 30s, that means 1930, between 1930 to 1940. That means this concept identified that period. Just you keep it that the period mean the duration have so organizationals use that won't mean organizations use this concept. Sometimes they don't know this is a traditional concept, but that period, that era, they are using this method to conflict solving in organizations. So the systematical some methods. Now you know that the traditional, that mean we are calling traditional mean that earlier stage, last 2 or 3 decades ago, like that. But thing is, at that time, they are using this old concept and the administrative methods for their own or protect their own properties and their status. That's the main thing. This is out of organization behavior or out of the traditional organization conflict. The concept I explain because you have to take a correct idea about the period. That is the reason. Then you know that 30s and 40s. That mean just you think about in a Sri Lanka period that before independent, the independent our the 1948 we have a independent as of 1948. Okay, then that period you can imagine this situation uh, to what happened in our country. Okay, then you know that it's a third para. Third para mean it was a first developed in the late 1930 and early 1940. Okay. Now I tried to explain what is a traditional. Okay. Traditional mean, have a thinker that I think you have a bit of idea about that period in Sri Lanka. Imagine yourself what type of communications we have. Communication, I try to ask the radio, televisions, and just I ask like that, not in this slide word communication. The radio, television, film, and the telephone, handphone, landphone. That now you can understand what is that, what is the situation, what is the background of that era. Then, can you believe that things called Arachirala, Horala, Gamuladani, as some that administrative levels positions more like that type of the places, positions, jobs in that era mean period in Sri Lanka. Now you can understand how that earlier I explained using the three novel Martin Vikramasinghe's one, the Kali Yuga, Damperile Kali Yuga and Yugantha. Then think a bit how they protect their positions, their status, their beliefs, and how they treat their servants. You can imagine, but because you have I think, I know you had an experience, bit of experience about when you are reading books and novels. I think you have that Village in the Jungle and other books, good books to try to understand that our the colonial period. Anyway, now you have a bit of idea about that traditional situation in 30 to 40 period. Now, don't think about that organizational part, organizational behavior or anything. Just you think about that period in Sri Lanka. Then one by one, step by step, we have a chance to understand how they work in our inside or the organization environment. The situation is, now you know that Arachirala, Gammula, then Korale Matya, like that. Okay, that is civil agents or civil service person or civil officers, we are calling that era or that period. Then I first after that I ask you, what is a what type of communication methods going on that period? No any good communication methods or the system or the things. I think only the 30 to 40 have some the letter and some that in the parallel to the we can call that courier service, but courier means the person is like a messenger. It's a developing that things are going on. So the new decades, the new generation also using same methods, but using tool equipment for the sending message to each other. But thing is that earlier the messenger means a person who sharing or the delivering some news or things or goods, we call that person to messenger. But same situation in this era and the earlier stage or next stage also same. But at that time, we are, or the next generation people using tool as the alternative to the messenger's positions, tools, that equipment, technology. Keep it outside that things. Now things know any good communication methods. Then disagreement. What's the meaning of disagreement? I told you that Arachirale, Korale, Mahatya, and others are in the responsible officers to that mean correspondence, government correspondence as a civil agent or civil service officer. Then what is the meaning of a disagreement mean? Now I am the person who are in a I am the responsible person or not a things don't keep it your mind. I am the correspondent person to the normal that is general people, general audience. You are I call you now, I give you this is example. I call you, you are the Arachirala or Porlemata or whatever. Now I am the person who come to meet you, the Arachirala. I have this matters in my people. My people mean my family members or the family, like you know that nuclear family and other one. Then have some the family problems and some family matters and your village matters problems you are delivered to, or you are tell the Arachirala that you are the Arachirala and Korle Madhya. You listening there. But sometimes directly you have a chance, you have enough power to send this message to the government ruling or the hierarchy people. But thing is that Arachirala and Korlemata can control this people behavior. That mean people behavior think that a village have some problem. Sometimes water, sometimes no good to the changing another to have no any good roads, no any bridge like that. Good bridge, not like a big one, small one. Then sometimes any transport facilities. They ask, can you provide? Can you tell the government officers we need some one bus per day? Now I'm discussing in the 30s, 30s to 40s. At least one bus the morning and evening, because we have our village have now many the government officers. They need to go to the a town to start join their officers to the correct time, but we don't have any transport facilities. Kindly tell this issue for the government officers. Officers mean ruling, that mean administrative part. But disagreement mean, but when you are now you are in the position in the Arachirala or the Korle Matya. Now you are in that position. You are the person who have a good transport, better than others in your village area. Things you have some horse cart like that, as the some the new the car. Then when you have that mean when the people the people have a chance to use the public transport, they have a chance to engage with the government officers. You know that earlier Arachirala and Korle Matas have a close relationship with that foreign government officers. When you are that people have the same facilities like a public transport, they have a chance to move with the government officer, like a Colombo Candian, like that. You know that main town at that time had this facilities or something, the transport facilities. Then Arachirala not disagreement, sorry, the disagreement with this request, because sometimes this Arachirala, the only person who have a chance to engage with that government officers, he controlling the village people behavior his way. His way mean then government officers send some message or provide some facilities to the village people that Arachirala can control it, and he take the part of some benefit from that. Directly, at Arachirala give to this permission to request to the respect to the request and sent to the government officers that Arachirala's status bit of low mean bit of decrease. Then the government officers know in the outside of the village that Arachiral, the person who are handling in this case, he bargain with like this is a service that villagers need some service. They are request for service, the transport service. They are not respect to that. That mean that Arachirala never to respect, never to give a chance to the to direct and fulfill all the request. The reason is that Arachirala need to control the villagers' behavior. Then you can understand what is a disagreement. I'm not now discussing the organization behavior. Now I'm discussing the Arachirala and the villagers according to the 1930 and between 1930 to 40. Now, after that, the another one is that Arachirala, that means government officer, not working open part. That means no any transparency. Now the villagers and the village people request something. He tried to control the villagers or the village people, and that Arachirala tried to control their request. That because of, I told you that Arachirala, when he directly sent the request to the government officers, his status bit of decrease. Then third one is, now you can understand this, you don't know better than any connection with the government officers. You are only you know, or that the officers, that mean villagers, only they are respondent, the person is Arachirala. Then now you don't have any connection with government officers. Now this is some flow, that mean administrative or the administrative power flow. First one is a government officer. Second one is a Arachirala, that is a correspondent government officers, government correspondent. The position is Arachi. The other one is a grassroots level village people. Now you can understand three things. Now you don't have any connection with government officer or the government. Then you can understand is Arachirala's services are not transparent. But thing is, whatever situation, you have to trust this individual person. Because no any correspondent, no any government officer in your village. Then you can understand this administrative or the management flow always fail. Always fail. What are the black hits? What are the wrong points? Because that individual person, the Arachirala, never protect, I'm not using never. He is not act. Is the feedback part. What is the feedback part? Arachirala is the person, the Arachirala is a one person, one and only person to work to the government. He is a one and only government officer in a village area. As well as he is a person who has to correspond or deliver the village problem to the government. The two-way system. One thing is government have some message. Arachirala must have to send that message to village people. As well as other side, the second two-way things. Other side, the village problems. He have to identify village problems as well as Arachirala has to send to the government officer that issues and service and request and problems, everything. But thing is this managerial position or the administrative positions not work well in the 1930s and 40s. But don't think about we don't know anything in organization in Sri Lanka 30s to 40s. Now you have now the clear picture about Arachirala, government and villages. Now you know what is the clear picture in that era or the period. Then now one by one we put this concept, the example to our topic. One thing is a traditional way. Now you understood what is a traditional administrative or the managerial part. Things that you identify that era or the period. Now, easily, I told you the earlier, first point. Now you can put the blank. Now you have to only fill the blank with that exam, from that exam. Right. You can understand. Now, imagine yourself. Now, kindly come with me to our subject, traditional view of organizational conflict. Now you can understand at this concept, at that period, or the traditional view, the poor identifies the poor communication. When the organizational has some conflict, at that time, there's a poor communication because they think, or that period, they are always think their own traditional status and not only move or open their eyes for the organizational officers, that mean a labor part. That mean poor communication. I like to add another word. Sometimes some people never like to talk with the Arachirala, with communicates with these matters, any other problems. What are the problems in a village? It must be how to control or the complete from the government. At that time, the government, the village people never, and they don't like to tell this situation and problem to the Arachirala sometime because that is an unless, that useless thing. The second one is, I told you, the disagreement in a conflict. The organizational behavior have a conflict at that time. The managerial positions people always disagreement. Then they are not to discuss and they are not to give a chance to the labor side or the conflict side, the employer's side. As well as I told you that Arachirala is never transparent, that Arachirala's work is never transparent, the duty is never transparent. Same situation in that organization, that's the conflict time, their situations, also lack of openness. Then the final one, why this going on, why this a matter, why this a situation, What is the root of this situation? Because of the hierarchical, that a managers position, the managers role failure. Same situation in a organization. Managers failure to managers to be responsive to their employers. That means hierarchical never. That means I can't use that word. Never hierarchical is a not. I told you he's a not act like the villagers correspondent to the thing. Now you can understand this main case, how this concept, how this the traditional view of organization conflict going on. Okay, then I give you another chance to the listening this slides, as well as I give you the time to write down. To you to start in the traditional view on organization conflict is earliest of the time. Okay, here to time to listening as well as you can write down.
The traditional view on organizational conflict is the earliest of the trio. It was first developed in the late 1930s and early 1940s, with the most linear and simple approach towards conflict. According to the traditional view, any conflict in an organization is outright bad, negative, and harmful. Although conflicts are of different types, the traditional view only sees conflict as dysfunctional and destructive. It suggests that organizational conflict must be avoided by identifying the malfunctioning callus. Moreover, the traditional view on organizational conflict identifies poor communication, disagreement, lack of openness and trust among individuals, and the failure of managers to be responsive to their employees' needs as the main causes and reasons of organizational conflict.
Okay, I like to add another few lines. That mean I need to add some small introduction here. The traditional view only sees conflict as a functional and destructive. I think it is not necessary to explain that's a two word. Earlier we discussed that what is the meaning of that, but you keep it to mind that the two word in a traditional view of organizational conflict. Now, I think I like to move the next slide. Here, this one, after that we have a new one. But thing is, the traditional view is an early approach to conflict, which assumed that all conflict was bad and to be avoided. Before I give you a chance to the listening this one, I like to add that part in the earlier one. Think that 30 to 40, between 30 to 40 era, when any conflict in our society, that means our Sri Lankan society, whatever conflict, the family conflict, the village, or the government, or parties, or anything, they call it's a bad thing. It's a not to be. Okay. That means when the employers have any union strike or whatever, they call it a bad thing. No. It's like a violence, destructions. That's like it is the person who are created that situation in an organization. Now that a period in an organizational view is that is the bad behavior, misbehavior. He is a person who are create the violence in an organization, the environment. That's mean dysfunctional. It is a thing. This poor communication I told you. That's the main point is the managerial poor communication because you now already studied that point, the manager's role. Now, this conflict root is a manager poor communication and dismanagement. Dismanagement mean the wrong controlling environment or the organization. Is not to do or not act managerial role. That means he is always out of manager's responsibility. That is a thing. But that period and this concept try to always exhibit or the broadcast when person who are creating a conflict or the some group try to create in a conflict in a organization, it is a very bad behavior. Okay, now you can understand like a school, like a classroom. Think a bit. Now I'll give you one example, hierarchical and village. I give you another example for the school classroom. This add for this example, add for this slide, 7 slide. Okay. But thing is, you can move. Can you move to the? I show you 1 second. Here the point. I try to take it. 1 second. Sorry. Uh, 1 second. Right here. Here the point I give you, I try to explain the school classroom. Yeah. You keep it your mind, this one, within, okay. Here, the view that all conflict is a negative certainly offers a simple approach to looking at the behavior of people who create a conflict. Positive, negative. All conflict is a negative certainly offers a simple approach to looking at the behavior of people who create a conflict. Now you can understand that while a teacher doing his lecture or the lesson, the one boy who is try to do in some bad, that means negative things. At that time, the negative thing is the misbehavior, bad behavior. He's a person, the people who create, the student who create conflict to lesson to organization behavior, to lesson in a classroom, to create in a organization behavior. Now you can understand that. I erase this one. Sorry. Erase is coming with me. Okay. 1 second. Right. Then I give you a chance to listen again. You have to listen carefully. Then first I give you a chance to the listening and write down your note while the robotic narration. As well as at the same time, you have to apply the second example, the school classroom example for this concept or this slide. Then try to understand parallelly example and organization behavior. I told you this whole conflict root is a manager's failure. Why this manager's failure? And that manager never take or is a responsibility, but he will control this conflict or the organization conflict. I always try to pass a ball to the employer's side. But thing is, finally, this thing is this that the manager can't control this situation. That employers need to take action or raise his arm to this managerial the failure. He has to face an individual. After that era or the period, now that the one by one employer not to raise their hand or to create their problems, not like an individual problem. They're ready to their raise hands with group. We will discuss later. First, you listen this and comparing two examples together. And finally, I give you another chance to read the earlier slide and this slide both. At that time, I mentioned that, between after this narration, you put first example in the hierarchical and villager example in the first slide. This slide for classroom exam. Right. First one, you have to listen and listen this one and write down and parallelly take idea, the example, classroom example and organizational conflict, but keep it a topic, the traditional view. Okay, this is your time.
Lack of openness and trust among individuals and the failure of managers to be responsive to their. The traditional view is the early approach to conflict, which assumed that all conflict was bad and to be avoided. The conflict was treated negatively and discussed with such terms as violence, destruction, and irrationality to reinforce its negative implication. The conflict was a dysfunctional outcome, resulting from poor communication, lack of transparency and trust between people, and the failure of managers to be responsive to the necessities and aspirations of their employees. The view that all conflict is negative certainly offers a simple approach to looking at the behavior of people who create conflict. We simply need to direct our attention to the causes of conflict, analyzing them and take measures to correct those malfunctions for the benefit of the group and organizational performance. The traditional view of conflict fell out of favor for a long time as scholars and academics came to realize that in some circumstances a conflict was inescapable. From the late 19th.
Okay. Now, I give you a chance to listen earlier one and a second one together. Then keep it in your mind and double check your note as well as comparing your example and our concept. After that, we have to start the new topic here, human relation view of organizational conflict. Okay, this is your time. Double check your note as well as comparing your example. Compare the both. First one, this one is our example. Second one is a classroom example. This is your time.
From the late 1940s. The traditional view on organizational conflict is the earliest of the trio. It was first developed in the late 1930s and early 1940s, with the most linear and simple approach towards conflict. According to the traditional view, any conflict in an organization is outright bad, negative, and harmful. Although conflicts are of different types, the traditional view only sees conflict as dysfunctional and destructive. It suggests that organizational conflict must be avoided by identifying the malfunctioning callus. Moreover, the traditional view on organizational conflict identifies poor communication, disagreement, lack of openness and trust among individuals, and the failure of managers to be responsive to their employees' needs as the main causes and reasons of organizational conflict. The traditional view is the early approach to conflict, which assumed that all conflict was bad and to be avoided. The conflict was treated negatively and discussed with such terms as violence, destruction, and irrationality to reinforce its negative implication. The conflict was a dysfunctional outcome, resulting from poor communication, lack of transparency and trust between people, and the failure of managers to be responsive to the necessities and aspirations of their employees. The view that all conflict is negative certainly offers a simple approach to looking at the behavior of people who create conflict. We simply need to direct our attention to the causes of conflict, analyzing them and take measures to correct those malfunctions for the benefit of the group and organizational performance. The traditional view of conflict fell out of favor for a long time as scholars and academics came to realize that in some circumstances a conflict was inescapable.